Carversations continue. It's Tuesday. Tuesday Carversations. About, man, I don't even know what it's about. People might think this is a clickbaity headline or title for a stream, but maybe it is. But I will say it's not my goodbye. Ooh, that's a little spicy. More of a thought piece on how we say goodbye to pieces of ourselves, if that's really a thing. I posted a TikTok and then subsequently reposted it as a short on my channel here. And just sort of the gist of it was that maybe I'm so angry at times because I never got to say goodbye to that little boy. I don't know. I heard the sound on TikTok and it just made me think of that. It made me think like a lot of adults, and I think a lot of adult men at that, never have a real chance to depart with a part of themselves that is that young boy. And I don't know. I just got to thinking about how it's, I don't know. I say again, men in general, I think, have a harder time with this because there might be some societal expectation or expectation put on them to be a certain way by a certain time, or maybe they missed out on some aspect of their childhood and then suddenly thrust into what is into their adulthood, have to care for someone else, never get to truly be a kid or teenager or whatever. There's plenty of instances of this. And while I know that my life was actually really good and I had lots of opportunities to play and have fun, I think the reality of all of that coming to an end, and I guess not really knowing when it ever was, is an emotional revelation. And I think there's varying degrees of how that affects everyone, obviously. I think personally I've had a pretty solid and fortunate upbringing. Some might even use the word privileged at times. But yeah, I think the idea of it's not a loss of innocence. It's the ending of one part of your life and the beginning of another, and the lines are blurred. There's never a definitive moment. And I think that's hard for some men to look at or to come to terms with. Is that part of my life is over, and as much as I want to try and integrate the little boy that's inside, that can be difficult. And I think maybe a lot of why men, stick with video games, for example, is because they, in some small respect, can hold on to that piece of themselves that they feel they never wanted to let go of, but also maybe didn't fully get to experience. But the downside of it is that a lot of people don't, well, when we're talking about video games, a lot of people don't respect those who continue to play them in advanced years, right? So it's difficult, because I think a part of society wants you to leave that behind, but you don't want to let go of that part of yourself that obligated to do things and wants to hang on to a piece of that childhood, that never-ending sea of what will I do today? What will I explore today? I don't know. And it's speaking from my own perspective of childhood. There was always a place to go, a thing to discover, and you know, watching my kids being able to do that now is a really fun thing. And I think that's the point, is to give that to them in every respect possible. Don't stop your kids from exploring. Don't let your kids say goodbye to that person too soon. You know, don't tell your kids, grow up. Stop acting like that. It's an easy thing to say because you don't want to, you know, you might be dealing with your own crap. You don't want to deal with your kids' crap. But there's one thing that I feel like people do too often is they grow up too quick. And I think also people spend too much time judging others for not growing up quick enough. Not understanding how to strike the balance. And it just kind of comes back to, it's important to strike the balance in your life of maybe not effing off all the time, but recognizing how important it is to, I guess, maybe hold on to the child inside of you. You know, for those of us who are grown men, right? Most of the people watching these things are grown men. Don't take life too seriously. If you have kids, you know, let them be just that. Don't let them say goodbye to the boy or even the girl that's still exploring. I don't know. Like I said, that TikTok I made, that short I made, it made me a little bit more emotional than I thought it would, because I think about this stuff a lot. I think about the what ifs all the time. What if I was here? What if we had done that? What if that guy wasn't around? I think about that shit a lot. And I sometimes think, like, when I lose my cool with my kids, I think, why did I do that? I guess, in that in the moment manifestation of the beast that you hated growing up, right? And hoping that one moment doesn't lead to your child turning their back, emotionally or otherwise. It's difficult. It's such a difficult task. And again, this isn't a me saying goodbye to anything. The discussion is about, saying goodbye to your childhood in some respects. And I made a TikTok yesterday that, I basically, I don't remember the day that I waved goodbye to that child in me. And then I guess in some respects that makes me angry. Because I don't, the farther you move away from it, the more you lose touch with it. And, on top of all of it, when you have kids, the idea of the notion that they don't stay kids forever becomes clear very, very fast. You have a limited amount of time with them. But you enjoy the time, every bit possible. But just like our own mortality, it becomes clearer and clearer as the days pass. That one day we'll look at our little babies and we will say goodbye. But again, the same thing happened to me, right? Like, my parents said goodbye to that young boy, and off they go. They're adults. But then I think, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I say goodbye to him too? Lost both my grandfathers, my grandmothers are not. Yeah, man, it's difficult. And it sucks too because I've been incredibly fortunate to not have, I have a young family. So it's either fortunate or unfortunate, right? I have a very young family. But because of that, I will have to, I'll have to go through those losses. Yeah, it's always hard. I mean, I was really happy my grandfather got to see, or my dad's dad got to see my son, but my mom's dad never did, which bums me out. But yeah, every one of my grandparents is around. I had great grandparents for a long time, which, again, how many people can say that? Most people my age, they didn't really have grandparents growing up, or they had one or two. But for a long time, I mean, I had 4 and great grandparents. Oh, I'm sorry, Trey. Man, it's not. Even that, I had my mom's dad died when I was 23. So I knew him for a long time. and he died of melanoma. You know, skin cancer essentially. That was hard to watch. Him passing away though was a big wake up call for me, and I used to thank him a lot through whatever prayer, you know, because without that big moment, I never would have moved to Hawaii. I never would have met my wife. I wouldn't have the kids I have today. God knows what I would have been doing. In many respects, it was a giant wake-up call because I think I was already extremely unhappy with who I was becoming and who I was. That's why I say, like, my past is not perfect, and I'm like ashamed in many respects of the person I used to be. But after my grandfather died, I tried my best to change that. And really meeting my wife was like the ultimate, like, okay, this is someone that, like, I want to build a life with, you know. What's up, Shadow Warden? I don't know. I wish people would acknowledge the imperfections of their past a little bit. Especially those who intend to help others. I think it's important. Like, it's really important that my audience understands, like, if I try and help people or try and give advice on where I think people should go right in their lives or things that they should try, doesn't mean that I have been perfect and I'm without, like, any sort of sin. Far from it. You know, I have asked for forgiveness on things, and I've apologized for how I've acted in the past, you know, with people that I care about, and it's up to them if they wish to offer that forgiveness, which is more putting myself or others at peace, right? It's not to say that we're best friends or anything anymore. I think there's rare cases of, like, real forgiveness where you continue on being friends, but I don't think forgiveness automatically means, oh, all is forgotten and all is forgiven and we can be buddy for always, you know. But yeah, this was I don't know. I've been thinking a little bit more recently about, I said, a lot of what it means to say goodbye and to move on from a certain part of your life. Like, it's really important that people understand, I'm not going anywhere. This isn't me saying goodbye from YouTube or anything. It's an acknowledgement that the phases of our lives come to an end. And again, part of my anger, my outward anger at things sometimes is like a lack of closure of certain points in my life. And maybe those, like, open wounds that have never fully healed. Mechanoid, forgiveness might just mean I am willing to try and move forward. Yeah, I think you're right. Shags in my empathy era. Yeah, I'm trying. I don't know whether it's an era or just fully a part of me at this point. I don't know what the right stage is, or I don't know to what degree it's important to be empathetic with stuff. I keep saying that there's a large degree that I think people are not empathetic in the long the long run. I think people in the short term have empathy, but they're not willing to put in a degree of work to be empathetic on a longer, even a broader scale. Some might say that's the fool in me talking, right? That we should look on history. But when I was talking with Blaine last night on the Ready Set Shag podcast, which you guys should go check out that episode if you can. I just think times have changed in a lot of ways, and I think now more than ever, with the way we connect with people, we can offer a little bit more to those, but even to our enemies, maybe try. Maybe it is possible, because you can offer up that without having to worry about the knife in the back necessarily. But it also makes the deceptive nature of people a bit more conniving, or makes it easier. It makes it easier for people to sort of like be a little bit more slippery. But the part of that discussion was that this might be the case, but the altruistic acts, especially of our forefathers, is something that is required of certain people, right? Like, the reason that we live in such great times is because of the sacrifices of great men who, not to use a tired cliche, but like they sowed the seeds of trees that they never have the privilege of using the shade, right? And I think in some respect and I don't know who's doing that right now. Am I the guy to do it? Probably not. I like to think maybe I could at some point. Right. And I know true altruism probably doesn't exist, but I think we need people who are willing to act on higher moral incentives. And I don't, I haven't, we won't know those people until likely we are gone, or we are much older, right? A lot of these things might happen and we won't know. I hope to see some of those. Yeah, I don't know. There must be some accident on the freeway. I don't know what's going on. But someone tried to blow by in the left lane, which is like closed up ahead. So the guy's like this guy in a big Ford is trying to block everyone. Yeah, and I think that's part of it, right? Part of happiness in your life and is going to be acting out day to day and not getting ahead of yourself. And that's why, like, I try as much as I try and like I want my platform to be in some small respect a way for people to exit the internet, right? I've said a couple times that I almost put myself out of a job by my messages that I try and put out there is, disconnect, be a part of your everyday life. Don't come here every day. Go and go and be a part of your community. There's a guy, one of my viewers, he's also in our Discord. He talks a lot, regarding political stuff and everything in the political channels. He has the right idea. He's ran for a local office in his town, a small town, won his office, and now he's trying to make a difference on his local level. Like, this is kind of the stuff I'm saying is disconnect and come back and obviously interact and watch and comment and share my videos when you can, but like during the day, like go and be a part of your life. Like, what have you done? And I hate to reference Jordan Peterson, but he's really onto something in when it comes to, cleaning up your own house, like a lot of us don't have the ability to keep our own affairs in order, but pretend that we can. And that's what I mean, is like you can't be the pretender in the whole thing. Right, exactly, Trey. You can't be the pretender. You can absolutely do what you can to put your message out there, and this is how you can do it. But you have to put those things into practice, and you and also should acknowledge, like, you're not perfect. That things that you've learned over the years, the many stumbles and pitfalls that you've experienced over time have caused you to what the fuck? Rather, have helped you get where you are. You're here now because of all those mistakes that you made, and you're here to help others not do the very same. We have too many people who they don't even think like that. They just automatically think, oh, I'm going to say all this stuff. I'm not going to take responsibility for all the shit that happened in my life. Man, all this shit for what? Oh, dang. That's rough. Yeah, it was pretty smashed. Right, I think that's something that's just not acknowledged nearly enough. We are the amalgamation of our failures and successes. It's not just your successes; it's your failures too that are part of you. And there's not enough acknowledgement of that, or even focus on that from the very best people, or even the people who claim to have it all together. It's just, I think it's an important part. You don't need to hyper focus on it, but I would even say your failures even contribute more, because without those you wouldn't have picked yourself up and brought yourself into success again. Because I think very rarely are you actually winning right off the bat. More often than not, you're failing at what you're trying to do, and with each iteration of failure, you're trying to get back to success. And you might be right. Success it probably is the outlier. It just depends on that definition of success. But yeah, I think the majority of the time, and even, failure is this weird sort of sliding scale. Well, what does failure mean? It's for sure, you're not attaining the goals that you're going for, right? That failure doesn't mean all out failure, like you are done and out, no way to get back up. But, yeah, the failures in our life I think are a much bigger contributor to our overall success. I guess you could say it is the reason you succeed, because you fail. You learn, or those who do go on to become successful, learn from their mistakes, or at least you hope. So, if you keep trying after failure, you eventually succeed. If you succeed without trying, you'll eventually fail. Yeah, that is a good point. That's a good way of putting it. I think failure is put in place for us to learn. Or if if you're the idea of failure in a lot of ways is to learn new skills, because you can succeed without failing, but there's going to be a lot you don't know in all of that. But I think at some point you have to fail, right? Like even in the very, very beginning, like in the very beginning, you didn't pass math class, right? Like in your core classes in college. Okay, I'm going for my business degree, business management. I had to take a algebra 3 class. I didn't pass it on the first try. Well, that's kind of a failure on your way to your business management to be whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so there is failure, however small, in getting there. It's still that failure in the steps up. But people, you know, the big part about, and I guess just depending on who you are, a lot of people just set too lofty of goals for themselves right off the bat, and it becomes discouraging, and failure becomes the language they speak, because they don't know how to prioritize the goals and then make them small enough to attain along the way. And then, you know, again, failure becomes them, and then they blame everything on everything else that's happening. Oh, I can't succeed because of this. I can't. No, it's like you just need to learn, okay, this is the overall goal, but how do I break that down into smaller pieces in which I understand and I can attain? And this happens throughout your life. There's different... Okay, am I back? Am I back? I think I'm back now. Yeah, we need to, yeah. I don't even know how we got here. I don't know how we got here. Yeah, if you guys missed the beginning of the stream, I recommend you go back and watch it. Basically covered a lot of what I was trying to say, but the point of this conversation rather, is not to say goodbye to anything, but more of a philosophical goodbye. And you know, when we discuss waving goodbye to different parts of our lives, different phases of our life. No one actually does it, but I think, you know, when you come back and you look at it later on, you come back and look at how things ended or things are done, different phases end. It's kind of, I mean, it's emotional to think about. You know, it's emotional for me to think about all the times I've spent, you know, playing outside and with no responsibilities and making up worlds in my head and acting them out as a kid. And now I get to watch my kids do it, which is, people say, well, what's the point of having kids nowadays? Like, this is the point. Teach your kids to use their imagination. Teach them how fun it is to be independent and to build a life for themselves. That's the point of being a parent. It actually makes me sad when I go on these TikTok debates, and I might not even be talking. I'll just be like listening in on one that's happening, and you know, these like leftist women or even men. Like, there's a lot of apologist men on there now. That, like, you know, that some of the topics that come up regarding raising kids and Why would I want to bring kids in this world? It's such a sad thing to hear them talk about these, because there's bad things happening in the world, but there's never been a better time to bring a kid into the world. Is it expensive? Absolutely. It is absolutely expensive, and it will come at tremendous personal sacrifice to raise a kid. But the idea is you are now responsible for something much greater than yourself. And it's not something that the hardest part about being a parent and saying that to someone else, it's really difficult to get that across to someone without sounding like a total dick. Like, do I want to ruin someone's life? No, I don't want to ruin someone's life, but I think if you think that children are going to ruin your life, yeah, you probably shouldn't have kids. You probably should leave it to real adults. I wish people would not approach subject matter as if kids are this massive inconvenience that destroy lives systematically. They should enrich your life. It should enrich your life. Is it difficult? Sure. Will it change fundamentally who you are and who you were? Yes. Is that a bad thing? No. Again, these people's perception of what it is to be a parent is just so off base a lot of times that it's really sad. Like, and you can't convince them otherwise. They are so set in this, like, oh no, like, I want my freedom. Well, sure. And you do have freedom to an extent. It might be less than what you're used to. But what better way to change the world than with two humans, or a human that you made in your image? People might even start understanding what it means to, like, understand God. Now, do I live my life by any sort of book? No, but I understand, like, creating something in your image and how powerful that is and how impactful it can be. My kids are born, they live, they learn rules. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I'm blessed every single day that I get to raise two children that, you know, will have their own mind. Yeah, it breaks my heart when people on these debates, when they talk about children as if they're, well, first they legitimately will call them parasites, but beyond that, like, it just reveals how self-serving the world, like, they require the world to be for them. Like, the only way they will be happy is if they have full control over that and nothing else gets in their way. Kids are just an inconvenience. And again, those people, you're not going to get everyone. You're not going to get 100% audience capture on everything. You guys aren't going to agree with everything I say. That's fine. But that's why I'll go into these lives, is because I'll insist, like, hey, listen, y'all, like, you don't have to live this way, but I think it's important that you at least acknowledge certain things, and I think it's important that people acknowledge certain things because it helps with empathy. That's radical thinking, though. It's very radical thinking for some, which is bizarre. It's bizarre because, like, yeah, like, I'm a moderate with a lot of things. I'm not, like, staunch right or staunch left. Never really have been. I've always been, like, I kind of float in the middle and feel out, like, where where everything is. Because it's not that I'll flip for someone, but I will. Like, there's so much to consider. There's so much to consider in the way of, like, I don't want to say facts, but there's so much to consider in the world, different situations, that I feel I need to be open to hearing those things as new information arises, if that makes sense. So to put everything into one basket, like, because for an example, like, I don't even want to use that example because it's just stupid. But people will put everything into one basket and defend it, but not be willing to hear another side of it. And when that happens, now you're beholden to that opinion. And if you do make a switch, they believe, oh, well, now I look like a fool. Well, yeah, maybe, but maybe that's why you should have been a little bit more flexible how you are. Maybe. Yeah. People will disagree with me on that. That's fine. I don't really care. But I feel like in some respects, when people dig their heels in on stuff, it never really plays out all that well. So, we gotta be mindful of it. I had my first run in with, well, not my first, but I'm learning some game design stuff right now, working in Unity, and I've been kind of bouncing all over the place. Everyone keeps getting mad at me because you're starting here, you're not supposed to start there, start with this, don't do this. So I'm trying to do what I find, like, useful, right? So I jumped on and I found this really cool, like, tutorial series on Unity. It's a course team that I've used before with 3D modeling. So I wanted to go with them because I like how they structure everything. So went with them, and it's basically learning C# and Unity, like, concurrently. So you're learning very beginner code, like, step by step. They tell you what it does. You create it, run the scripts in Unity. What's up, Charlie? And so it's been fun. It goes at a good pace. But I had one of my first run-ins with a bad script, and I am trying to figure out what happened. But I'm like, I don't know why. I might have to just, and luckily it's very, very basic, and it would not take long for me to, like, rewrite the pieces that are there. I don't know, it seems like what happened was, so I created a script, put it into my assets folder. Now this relates right directly to Visual Studio Code. So when I make changes in Video Studio Code, it updates into Unity. And then I can run the game and just kind of test it, make sure it works properly. So in my assets folder, I made a scripts folder, dumped that script into the scripts folder to keep everything, my hierarchy and everything together, just to be organized. But now, for some reason, that file doesn't update properly with Visual Studio Code. How do you find time for the game dev? Well, it's one of the reasons I haven't been around all that much, because I've been doing that. And really what I do is I'll come home from work, I'll get my kids from daycare, I'll come home from work, and I'll usually sit at the table for like an hour and do a few lessons and try and recreate a couple of things, and then stop. Or even at night, instead of going live on Twitch or something, or YouTube, I'll sit down and do a couple coding lessons. Charlie, I'll have to. I don't know if you're in my Discord, but I was gonna actually throw the error in there. I think what's happening is the name of this. I think somehow the script got renamed, so there's a piece of the code, I believe, that always relates to the original script name, and now that I've updated it somehow unknowingly, it's constantly giving me like this console error, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but I was gonna put it in my Discord for people to see later on today. And it's good to know that you're a programmer, because I know people in the community are, they do that kind of stuff. But yeah, I basically do the game dev stuff when I have time. I'm starting to get a real passion for how to figure out and do basic scripting in Unity to create something fun, either for my kids or for everyone else to play. I'm kind of sick of people. I'm kind of sick of bad games getting made, and then, and I want to make something good and fun for people. I've talked with one other person. We might try and team up as we learn new things. Yeah, and that's what it is for me, is I just have to sit down. I have to sit down and do it multiple times a week. And again, I would rather go live and talk with you guys or play video games, but I won't get things done that way. And I did put in Discord that I apologize that, hey guys, I'm sorry I haven't been around really, or been present, but I've been trying to learn this new stuff that's going to help me, put together something fun and new and give myself a new skill, because I don't always want to. I want to be able to do something more remote. I want to try and build something fun and cool, and I want to maybe build a team that wants to do the same thing. So, Levistro, don't put the jack of all trades focus on one specific part in game design. Also, try to do an epic open world RPG that requires teams. Oh, no, I'm not. I want to do something small. Like I want to do, like, to start, I'll probably do a dozen little projects that are like easily approachable and I can maybe iterate on. Yes, don't try. Yeah, sorry. No, I'm not. I don't. That's not the goal. I want to do something fun and more in a more retro style that people can go to all the time and just have fun. Hi, Late Art. Good to see everybody. Best start is the Hello World exercise. Yeah. Right now, what they're working on in this. So, again, like I said, I know everyone has their approach to how they think people should do it, and I totally respect all that stuff. I've used this particular this particular group for Blender tutorials on doing 3D modeling. I really like how they style out their tutorials. So I went to them for the game dev stuff, and right now we're building from like scratch, essentially, an obstacle course. You basically, the game is, you have this square. You are a little square, and you get from one corner to the other, and there's spinning obstacles, there's balls that are dropping, and if you collide with different objects, they turn red, so Oh yeah, no, and that's again, that's the other thing about this particular group is they're really good at putting like everything's broken down into these like really digestible like steps, like 8 to 13 minute videos of exercises. So what I do a lot of times is I have this stuff set up on both of my computers. I'll do something on my laptop, and then I will go into I might go downstairs on my computer and PC at night and recreate those lessons to do, to try and recreate them the best I can without following any extra direction. And then if I do need to look something up, I will. So it's been a lot of fun learning all this stuff because it's difficult, but I spend the exact amount of time that I want to on it, and it doesn't feel like work, which is awesome. It's awesome. You do procedural generation a lot on things. That's cool. But yeah, it's really basic. It's really basic right now. The tutorials and the games that are being built. But once I get through them, then you have the basic, like I have the basic knowledge of the scripting to create my own scripts to do certain things within Unity. And then on top of that, you have but then you start building out from there. You talked about family loss and gaming nostalgia earlier. Check out My Retro Life. Guy recorded his childhood. That's crazy. That's really crazy. Well, guys, I'm now at my work. I need to get in there. We got a meeting that we're about to head into. I appreciate everyone tuning in. So goodbye to whom? Mephisto, what's up, man? The video was about, it was more of a philosophical discussion on leaving behind parts of yourself in life. So a bit of a clickbaity headline, but no. Yeah, go ahead and check out the earlier conversation if you can. So it's pretty good, a little bit more heartfelt than usual, but yeah, man, I appreciate everyone for tuning in and keep me going, keep me honest. Take it easy. I'll be good. Go be productive today.